Tonight on Mello TV Sports, Sir Everton Weeks laid to rest in Barbados today. Jermaine Blackwood emerges as the top batsman for the Windies after the Test series versus England. And new dates have been approved for the World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi. We bowl off Mello TV Sports with cricket as West Indies great Sir Everton Weeks, one of the famed 3 Ws, was laid to rest in his native Barbados today. Sir Weeks closed his final innings at age 95 on July 1. Weeks was one of the finest batsmen the West Indies ever produced, finishing with an average of 58.61 from his 48 tests. Along with Sir Clyde Walcott and Sir Frank Worrell, Weeks famously helped the West Indies to a historic Test series win in England. The trio made Test debuts within weeks of each other in 1948, and Weeks, like Walcott and Worrell, is remembered in Barbados at the 3Ws Oval. Weeks, who scored 4,455 Test runs, once scored 5 successive centuries before being controversially run out for 90 when going for a 6th. He received his knighthood in 1995. David Willey claimed 5 wickets while Sam Billings bladed an unbeaten half-century as England today beat Ireland by 6 wickets in the first one-day international in Southampton. Willey first bagged 5 for 30 as Ireland was sent to bat first and were in trouble at 28 for 5 in only the 7th over before rallying to make 172 in 44.4 overs. Shakib Mahmood took 2 with 1 wicket each going to Adil Rashid and Tom Curran. Curtis Camphor top scored with an unbeaten pedestrian 59 runs from 118 deliveries with a mere 4 fours. Andy McBride added 40 with 22 each coming from Kevin O'Brien and Gareth Delaney. Billings then bladed 11 fours in an unbeaten 67 as he shared an unbroken 96-run stand with captain Ian Morgan 36 to see the host to 174 for 4 as they won with 22.5 overs to spare. James Vince contributed 25 and Jason Roy 24 against Craig Young 2 for 56, the pick of the Ireland bowlers. The game, the first of 3, was the first in the new ICC Men's World Cup Super League. Still on cricket, Jamaica's Jermaine Blackwood emerged as the top batsman for the West Indies in the just concluded 3-test series against England. Blackwood topped the batting aggregate with 211 runs at an average of 35.16. Of all the batsmen, he came the closest to a century, missing the landmark by just 5 runs, having set up the 4-wicket first Test victory in Southampton. Blackwood made a duck and 55 in the second Test and 26 and 23 in the final game. Shamar Brooks made 195 at 32.5. Craig Brathwaite had 176 at 29.33. Shane Dorridge 126 at 21. Shea Hope 105 runs at 17.5, while another Jamaican, John Campbell, scored 84 runs at 16.8. On the bowling side, Shannon Gabriel picked up 11 wickets at 32.27. Roston Chase with 10 wickets at 34 and 157 runs at 28.16 had the best all-round figures. Chase picked up a 5er in the second Test. Test captain Jason Holt bagged 10 wickets at 30.1 to go with 114 runs at 22.8. Kemar Roach had 8 wickets at 36.5. We head over to boxing news now. American boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. says he and Mike Tyson would probably have beaten current heavyweight stars Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder in their 1990s heydays. 51-year-old Jones and Tyson, 54, will meet in an 8-round exhibition bout on September 12th. Here's more with Courtney Wallace.
Jones Jr. says while he and Iron Mike could not now beat the current generation of heavyweight champions, they are not as skilled as himself and Tyson were in their primes. He also spoke on how he would approach a fight with the current 3 top heavyweights.
You can never say, but I think we would have beat him. I think our skill level was a little bit more. I think our skill level was a lot deeper at that time than it is right now. So I think in our prime, we probably would have probably topped most of those guys. Joshua, because he's an athlete, he can get you with either hand, so you got to watch him. He's dangerous with both hands. Fury has a good mind, and he's so tall and awkward. So Fury very hard to get to because he's tall and awkward, and he has a good mind for boxing. Has a very high boxing IQ. Wilder has a very good straight right hand. If you got to get away from that right hand in order to even think about getting a victory over him.
That was boxing legend Roy Jones Jr., who won world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, and even as a heavyweight in his 75-fight career that included wins against James Stoney and Bernard Hopkins. Jones was beaten by Jamaican former world champion Glenn Johnson for the IBF light heavyweight strap in 2004. Once the baddest man on the planet, Tyson became the youngest ever heavyweight champion when he took the crown from late former Jamaica world champion Trevor Berbick in 1986. Jones Jr. expects the exhibition to be ultra-competitive and said Tyson will be the favorite to win. Reporting for Mello TV Sports, I'm Courtney Wallace.
Finally, in the sports news tonight, the World Athletics Council has approved new dates for the World Under-20 Championships Nairobi 2020. The World Under-20 Championships will now be held in Nairobi, Kenya from August 17 to 22, 2021, 1 week after the Tokyo Olympic Games. Under the competition's rules, athletes aged 16, 17, 18, or 19 years on December 31st, 2021 will be eligible to compete. The World Athletics Race Walking Team Championships has been rescheduled for April 23 to 24, 2022 in Minsk, Belarus. The World Athletics Half Marathon Championships Sangju 2022 have also been a small change date, moving back 1 week from March 20, 2022 to March 27, 2022. Meanwhile, today makes it exactly 1 year to the start of the athletics competition at the rescheduled Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. And those are the stories making sports news tonight. We now head back to the news desk with Shelley Ann Hill.
Thank you, Christopher. And now to end tonight's newscast, here are the main points. Government says it will shut down places of amusement and establishments within the entertainment sector if COVID-19 protocols are not maintained. Approximately 370 workers to be made redundant after J. Ray and Nephew Limited confirms that it is pulling out of sugar production and closing the historic Appleton Estate Sugar Factory with immediate effect. The police are investigating the murder of 45-year-old Michael Samuels at his home in Cumberland, St. Catherine yesterday. And Hugh Faulkner sworn in as new Commissioner of Indicom. And that's our news package for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Mello TV Evening News at 8. I am Shelley Ann Hill. Stay safe and pleasant viewing.